Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Let's go to the phones and welcome our guest on the Davidson Family Dentistry Newsmaker line. He is attorney Jeremy Rosenthal. You're very welcome, Jeremy. Have you ever been to the Iowa State Fair, sir?
I have not been to the Iowa State Fair. In North Texas, we have the Texas State Fair where everything is fried and they serve fried things.
Yeah,
hopefully everything
nothing
is
compares to the Iowa State Fair where you can get deep fried butter on a stick.
Just what I need. Just what I need for my swimsuit line.
Yes, you should definitely come and visit the Iowa State Fair because, indeed, nothing compares to the Iowa State Fair. So there you go. We brought you on today because something very unusual has happened. Unfortunately, we all remember the Uvalde school shooting, and we also remember the police response, or lack thereof. Well, now the lack of that response has led to criminal charges. What is going on, my friend?
The Uvalde's a horribly, I don't even know if divided is the right word, but it's a very wounded community.
Before I let you continue, I just have a policy. We never name the shooters in these incidences. I think that's part of what they want, so it is policy. We never name them. So please continue.
Well, very good. What's happened here is two police officers, for really the first time ever, are being prosecuted for, in essence, a failure to act. One of them, his name is Pete Arredondo. He is the police chief, or former police chief of Uvalde. And the other is, I believe, Officer Gonzalez, who is he was a patrol officer, and I think he's the guy who you can see that just doesn't go in. Officer Arredondo, the chief, basically just kind of treated it like it was a hostage situation, and he very badly misdiagnosed the situation. Those two have been indicted. Politically, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this, right? And obviously it's pretty, the lead on this story is and ought to be that police officers are being prosecuted because if you don't want to run in and rescue people, then just don't take the oath. I think that's the overarching message here. But there's some interstate politics here in Texas with the Department of Public Safety. That's the statewide branch of government, or not branch of government, that's the statewide agency who had an officer who really acted very poorly, just the same as the others did. And by all rights, probably very well could be prosecuted, but isn't. And there's potential political undertones to that decision.
Okay. It's very unusual to see a police chief in the orange jumpsuit, but I'm looking at his mugshot right now, yeah? Mm-hmm. So are they still in custody or are they out?
I think they've bonded out. These are in Texas. This is what we call in Texas a state jail felony. That's the very lowest type of a felony. It's still a felony. It's punishable between 6 months of jail and 2 years of confinement. Basically, in endangering a child, this is where a child is in a dangerous situation and you don't do anything to act. People have asked, is it possible you could charge these guys with anything more than that? The fact is that it's going to be hard enough to prove. It's hard enough to prove these guys guilty as it is, because these shootings are obviously so highly subjective, and they're in real time now. But they I think what the government points to here, I think what the prosecution points to is they say, look, we gave you all this training and you didn't use it. We told you when this happens that this is the plan, and you scrapped it for no reason. So that's going to be the hard part to defend this case. The problem with prosecuting them for something more is that you actually have to create the exigency, which they just didn't do, right? They're responding to an active shooter. So it's going to be legally very muddy.
So you're a defense attorney. If you were representing these individuals, Where do you go with this? What's your plan of attack against the prosecution?
You've got several. First off is that essentially you can show that that your reaction wasn't reckless, that it was reasonable, that based on what you knew and based on what you understood at the time, that you were acting reasonably. The standard is that you were reckless, right? Think Alec Baldwin. Think that's the standard in that case is reckless, which is essentially we're going to stand on top of the overpass and throw a bowling ball off the top regardless of who's driving by. We're going 140 miles an hour and we're taking our hands off the steering wheel. That's reckless. Making a bad decision, tragic as it may be, if I'm defending the case, that's my main argument. There's also, like I said, a lot of political underpinnings with this case. There's a lot of information and data that's going to be released to the defense here that has been held on to for quite a while by law enforcement. You're really essentially in a place where you can recreate this whole thing. Every one of these officers, the vast majority of them are wearing body cameras. There's 379 of them. That's a lot of video. You're really going to be able to reconstruct this thing. And then you also have to remind the jury, look, I mean, we can Monday morning quarterback this thing today. But that's the hard part about defending it. But prosecuting it, I mean, a lot of emotion, a lot of and a lot of anger. And again, if I'm prosecuting the case, where I'm going with this is I'm saying all we can do is train these people. If you don't want to go in the building, if you don't want to put your lives on the line, just don't sign up.
They're going to obviously try and move this out of Uvalde. They can't. They've got to take that emotion out of it, surely.
Yeah, there's no question. I think the prosecution has even said we're not going to try this here. Now, I don't know how far they're going to be able to move it. Under Texas law, the change of venue statute doesn't let you get really too far away, but you need a deeper jury pool. Probably something like San Antonio is not far, and they've got a much deeper jury pool. A lot more people that could potentially see their way through some of these issues. So there's no question the venue is going to be moved.
There doesn't seem to be any way to win this. I use the term very loosely. There are dead kids, so no one's going to win. But it doesn't seem likely to me, not a lawyer, don't play one on the radio, which is why you get to come on. It seems like a really, really tough hill to climb for the prosecution. And if they're found not guilty, that's actually going to hurt the community more. I'm trying to get my head around why they've gone down this road, and I can't really figure that out.
That's a great question. I think the district attorney here is under a lot of pressure to do something about this. I think there is a lot of anger. I think, like I said before, this is a very traumatized community. And I think there's a lot of pressure here to be sure about this. And you're exactly correct that if this turns out into a not guilty verdict, you've just made it worse. All the interviews that I've read of all the parents, they say this is okay, this is fine. I want my kid back. I want my child back. And prosecuting somebody, I'm glad that somebody's answering for this, and that maybe there will be a change here, right? And maybe police officers throughout the country pay attention, and maybe they can see, look, all right, if we're going to make a mistake answering a call like this, it's going to be an aggressive mistake, right? We're not going to sit there and just let this happen again. So I think there's some satisfaction there, but these people want their children back.
Of course, and they can't have them back, obviously. Every incident of this type since has shown police acting in the exact opposite way to how they acted in Uvalde. We could just run off a list of police going into harm's way, and not just police. Here in Iowa, we had an incident in a place called Perry, and it was the principal, unarmed, who paid with his life for trying to talk this kid down. But he bought a lot of people a lot of time, and he saved a lot of lives. Unfortunately, not his own. So that's what we expect, not actually from school principals, but from police officers. We expect them to go in. That's the job they've chosen. We don't want any of them to lose their lives, ever. But we expect them to go into that danger. I just don't know that there's an upside here at all. We will see. Jeremy, we appreciate your expertise, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to find out more about Jeremy, TexasDefenseFirm.com. TexasDefenseFirm.com. Jeremy Rosenthal, thank you very much. Have yourself a great rest of the day, sir.
Thank you, Simon. And I want to say, too, I've been waiting for exactly 12 hours and 10 minutes to do this interview. I've been here the whole time waiting for you.
There you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, we had a little AM/PM mix-up this morning, so it was very nice to get a text message from you so early in my day. You take care. Have a good one. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Appreciate it.